All right, so we are going live. Houston, we are going live. What is up, everybody in DJ land? This is Harry the Big Dog with DJ Interview. And I hope everybody has been really doing well. It's been blazing out there. So, what I want to do is bring on our next guest. You may know him, you may not know him. He's from the tri-state area representing New Jersey. What's up, DJ Dan?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. What's up? I'm just going to start off with my usual same statement. Get ready, get ready, get ready. This is DJ Dan.
That's right.
Hopeful House Nation.
Yo, has it been blazing out there?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But my whole thing is that as long as I'm in a temperature controlled environment, I'm good. As long as I got the AC popping, I'm good. If it's super cold outside, as long as I got the heat popping, I'm good. You know, I just.
Oh man. So I'm here in Virginia and it's been blazing. I know it's been hot other places, but over the weekend I've been working on my car.
Okay.
And I was out there getting a whole bunch of vitamin D and darker.
Okay. What part of VA are you in?
I'm in Newport News, Virginia.
Okay, I just
the Hampton Roads area, Virginia Beach, Norfolk.
Okay.
I gotta talk like them.
Okay. My daughter's in Virginia Beach.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are, I'm about 45 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on where in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
So let's get this thing going.
All right, let's go.
Why don't you tell everyone your real name, if you want, your government name, your DJ name, how you got started. First of all, how did you get DJ Dan? I want to hear this story. So I'm gonna let you take this and you go.
All right. So here's a little bit about me. Okay, my name is Dan Shiver. I'm out of the great city, Paterson, New Jersey, the first industrial city in the United States. It was home of Alexander Hamilton. And Alexander Hamilton, you may or may not know, was the first treasurer of the United States, but he's also on the $20 bill. It's also home of me, Dan Shiver, DJ Dan, Soulful House Nation. Well, the name Dan came about like this, and then I'll go back a little bit about me. It came because my friend Kadir, who is a lifelong friend, had a kid. He had his baby, and I became the godfather. And you know how people go goo goo gaga, and they go, baby, all the things they do. So instead of dada, it went to Dan, and it stuck. That's how that happened. So going back just a few years ago, because I'm a very young man.
I know that.
And when people are not lit, I call myself Young Dan. Anyway, so
not more than 28, huh?
26.
26.
That's right.
I forgot. Sorry.
That's right. Hey, you're gonna put me up and advance my age already. Here we go. Well, I tell you how this really happened for me. Like as a kid, I had like some really pivotal points along the way. And you'll see what I mean. A pivotal point was my two aunts, Aunt Seal and Aunt Bert. Now, my Aunt Seal and my Aunt Bert were up-to-date aunts. What I mean by that is my parents were not up-to-date. So give you an idea, like if they were alive today, they would know about R. Kelly. They would know about Neo. They would know about First Choice. I mean, they would know that stuff. They would know. Now, see, my parents, on the other hand, would know about Michael Jackson not because they knew anything he did. It's just that because he was in the news. You see what I mean?
Oh,
So you got like you got you got an you got an old aunt, you got a young aunt. So you know what we would have said back in the day, which again only a few years ago for me. We would have said, you know, she's cool. She's
uh-huh.
cool. And so that's what. So what they would do, they would play music. Now my aunt Seal was prior to my aunt Bert, and she would have all the up to date songs of the time. And of course, you know, she would play them, and I would hear them. I'd love them, and I thought, "Oh, can you put this out? Can you put this out?" I don't want to tell you the song only because you might think that I'm a little bit older than 26, so I don't want to tell you the song. Anyway, so that's how. So I started getting into music. Then what happened? You know, fast forward. There's Aunt Bert. Aunt Bert used to live downstairs from us, and Aunt Bert had the record player. Oops, oops.
All right, you showing your age now.
I mean, she had these files on vinyl. How about that?
Yeah, digital vinyl.
Yeah, she had yeah, that's what it was. Anyway, okay. Anyway, so she had these, and so she had all the up to date music of that time. So of course, I was down by Aunt Bert's all the time, you know. So that was really really important. So fast forward a little bit later, I started buying records. Oops, excuse me.
12
Files.
digital hard disk.
Yeah, yes. I'm trying to keep my story straight. So I started buying music, and then you know I'm in high school. It was me and my buddy Herman. We had all the records. Oops, excuse me. I keep saying that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Excuse you.
yeah, sure. So we had all the music, and you know we would do the little socials and stuff like that. And you know, of course, you know at that time we didn't have the DJ setups that we have now. And now I'm in high school, and now it's time to go to college. So I go to college, and because I had all the music, they would always come to me when they want to do the party. I had a little sound system. It wasn't all that fancy. I had two turntables. I had now
We still use turntables.
oops.
You could.
Well, you remember the turntables that like you could put multiple records on, and then
Oh, those.
yeah. Oops. Wait,
Yeah,
I got my story.
46.
Yeah. Well, you know what it was is I was into antiques at the time. Okay. Anyway, so anyway, and then we would do those, and then when I went to college, then since I had all the music, people would call me when they wanted to do the party. So I really wasn't DJing at this point. I just was, you know, bringing records to the party.
Yeah.
Have the sound system and bring the little thing to the party. So as we go through college, then what starts to happen, I start to get exposed to some of the music. And then this is when my friend Craig Oliver, who is my longest running friend, and he was actually DJing, and he had music, you know, and he had club music and stuff like that I really didn't know much about, and then he started turning me on to that. He also was my original mentor. And what would happen is I would go to his place, and we would sit there, and we would have fun, we'd talk and stuff like that, and get music, and I'd pick up music. So I go in college, so then somebody exposed me, are you ready for this? To a mixer. Uh-oh.
Wow.
Oh, wait a minute. It wasn't, you know, prior to that was Y plugs.
Wow.
And
Wait. What year are we talking?
oh, we're just talking a few years ago. Remember, only 26.
You only 26, so maybe it was one.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And so anyway, so you go back a little bit. And so I started, doing this, and then got a little mixer. It wasn't like a mixer you could hear. It was like, it was just like you could turn one on and the other off. But so I started doing that. Next thing you know, I'm doing like little parties around the school, then a little parties outside the school. Started doing parties. So I'm doing this. Kind of fell off the stage. I just, do it. Then a real pivotal point in terms of the DJing was when I used to make cassettes.
Mm, mm.
Wait a minute, hold it. Uh-oh,
Hey,
uh-oh.
hey, look, at least you're not that
Oh,
old.
A-track, A-track. Now, I know about that from research, right?
Oh, yeah.
I read about that, I Googled it.
Interweb. Yeah, I get it.
So I go and I'm making cassettes, which I learned how to do from my buddy Craig. He would mix in, because by now this time I knew how to mix a little bit. And so I walk into this store. It was the equivalent of Abercrombie and Fitch at that time, so teens went to get their clothes there. Certain teens, put it that way.
Right.
So I meet this guy by the name of Roger. This guy, Roger, is a key person again, because he says to me, he says, look, he's listening to the store music, but he was really into R&B. He was into, not just a white guy, he was into black music.
Right.
And so instead of playing the corporate stuff, when I guess they weren't looking, he would put on my cassettes, and they played through the store. No problem.
Wow.
So what happened, there's this guy in there, white guy, by the name of Greg Barra, and he worked in the store. And he would hear the music and like the music. So Greg, one day I happened to go in, and Greg was there, and he says, yo, man, I've been listening to your stuff. I like your music, blah, 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 all that. He says, I got this club that I'm doing. I want you to come down to the club.
Wow.
Now, Greg, you got to know, Greg is a white guy. And the only reason that has any bearing on the story is because of the audience he introduced me to and the style of the music that he introduced me to. Now, you got to remember, I'm a brother from Paterson, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And, I heard of Frank Sinatra, but I never played Frank Sinatra. I heard, you understand? I heard of Tony Bennett. Put it this way. There was a whole new world out here that I knew nothing about.
Yeah.
All I could tell you is that as a black DJ from Paterson, I knew mostly black music and some crossover stuff. And that was it. So I meet Greg. Greg says to come down to his club. And I come down to a place called the Ave. Now, put it this way. The Ave was sort of like, let's just say it was a rough spot, but on the white side.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave it like that, all right? Now, you got to know, when I walked into the place, I just about integrated the place. But I was cool because, I had a cultural pass.
Right.
And also, too, Greg Barra brought me in. So what happened was, I didn't know the music. I didn't know things like classic disco. I like things like...
What?
I knew nothing about it. Hip-hop was starting to break heavy. And they were into some hip hop, and so the classic disco I knew nothing about. New wave I knew nothing about. Freestyle I knew nothing about. So, but the thing that I did know how to do is I did know how to mix beats. And
right.
So if I heard the music and I heard the beat, I can mix it. And that's really what I brought to the table. And so he exposed me to this whole style of music that I had no idea about. And then what happened was I started doing something that I do to this day. is I started tracking my requests. And the reason I would track my requests because I didn't know the music. So therefore, if somebody asked me something, I would write it down. And although I didn't have it this week, I come back next week and I have it.
Yes.
And then I would notice that, well, wait a minute, 3 people asked me for this track. So I know this is a hotter track. You see what I mean? So that's how I kind of did it.
Right.
So now I'm playing in this. Now I did this a couple of times. So apparently, so here's what happened. There was another guy by the name of Paul Baraquet. Now, Paul Baraquet was a Filipino brother. Well, he still is. Anyway.
I was wondering.
Yeah, he still is. And Paul Baraquet and I, they brought me into this little thing called DJ Music Express, which went on to do some very big things. I mean, I dropped out of it because I was doing my own thing, but they did some very big things. But what happened was they started getting jobs. They started getting jobs.
Like
yeah, mobile parties.
Okay.
So now I'm doing mobile parties with all white folks. So the way I could handle it is I'd get any information I could with them. In the beginning, Greg would go with me or Paul would go with me because they knew some of the music. But I would make sure I always had a request list so I could get the request. I combine as I went on and start putting, requests together, that kind of stuff. That was here. Now I'm reading Billboard. I'm reading what's hot. I'm reading all the stations that I know other folks listen to. So I'm making sure I'm getting the music. I'm tracking my requests. I'm asking questions. I'm making sure that they're giving me requests and stuff.
Right.
Pull from that. So this is going on. So now what happens is they had 2 clubs. They had this club called the Ab, which I mentioned to you. But they had another club called Gaspers. And the club, the Ab, was more like, that was more, let's say, on the rougher side. But a white bar.
Yeah.
It was white. And then on and Gaspers was more upscale. It was white, more upscale, and they listened to classic disco. They didn't fool R&B. They didn't fool weird. They didn't fool free. They didn't fool any of that. It was straight up classic disco.
Right.
Be Alive, Sylvester, Ronnie Griffith, best part of Breaking Up. I mean, that kind of stuff.
My type music.
Okay. All right. Okay. Patrick Hernandez, Born to Be Alive. That kind of stuff like that. All right. Now I'm starting to get pretty well versed in the music because by now I had been into this for a year and a half, 2 years. I'm keeping my list. I'm doing these things like that. My list, checking it twice. The routine. So now I'm playing. One night I'm playing. My mother used to call it the Bucket of Blood, and because we used to have some activity in there. Like I say, just imagine. It was a rough place, but but I got along with everybody. People really treated me well, and then also, and the other place, which was more scale. Again, you got to realize, for the most part, I'm integrating most of these places. All right.
Right.
Now I'm playing these 2 places. I'm playing one night, so now I'm playing 3, 4, 5 nights a week. They're bringing me in, and now they want me, even though, let's say, they wanted me at the Ave on Friday and Saturday, but Paul and them felt like they could cover that but their higher end, more count, wanted me too, so they put me over there because they love what I was doing.
Right.
Oh yeah, but so now I'm playing. Now what's happening is I'm starting to build a little reputation, but now I'm playing in mostly white clubs. Now I did play in a couple black clubs prior to this, and along the way, that was before I met Roger and Greg and those guys. And
now at this point, you're messing with vinyl.
My older brother.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Vinyl, Bozak mixers, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Techniques turntables by now, so.
Well,
I'm,
let me do a shout out before for the people that's checking in.
uh-huh.
Uh, the international DJ Tommy Lee is checking in.
All right, Tommy Lee.
DJ P Nice is checking in.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Kid Tree is checking in.
Mm-hmm.
Ty is checking in. Hector is checking in.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, DJ Mix Mash is checking in.
Okay, now.
DJ Howie D is checking in.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, if you're here, let us know you're here so we can give you a shout. So
Uh-huh.
now you're at this club.
So I'm playing at these two clubs, and then what happens is as they start to expand, I meet another guy who's also a lifelong friend, DJ Henny G. DJ Henny G is one of the we almost were bonded almost immediately because he was one of the few people of color who was also playing in this environment with mostly a white audience. And again, you could count us on one hand. And and I want to say it was because people were against us more so than black guys tended to do black jobs and white guys tended to do white jobs.
Right.
And it's still like that for the most part. However, the thing that I brought to the table was, first of all, I was introduced by, some white guys. But the other thing too is I could play the music.
Right.
And when people see that you can play the music, then a lot of that goes away. Just like back in the day when you had the entertainers come in, and for example, whether it was Sammy Davis Jr., Louis Armstrong, or Sam, whatever. When you can play the music, they kind of all that other stuff kind of we're gonna hold off on that. We're gonna leave that right here now. We're gonna at least go in there and have this good time. You know what I mean? He rock, and then, oh yeah, he's a nice guy too. So anyway, so I'm doing that, and now other things come. So by now I'm playing 5-6 nights a week. In addition to that, now I'm doing mobile parties too. I'm doing weddings, anniversaries, I'm doing corporate events. Because this is stuff these guys turn me on to, which, ordinarily I would not have. Again, you got to remember, I'm from Patterson, mostly African-American audiences, and that's it. And now these guys turn me on to this whole new world. And then what happens too is if one person likes you, then another person say, oh yeah, get my man right here. And, and the thing about it is they knew who they were getting.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they said, oh yeah, well maybe this, no, you got to get this guy here. All right. So we're going on. So now during the course of that, I'm playing in New York State on Tuesday nights. I'm playing go-go bars. On Wednesday and Thursday, I was at Gasper's. Then Friday and Saturday, I was either at the Ave or Gasper's, and they had a little tug of war. And if he couldn't cover the Ave, then and only then would he bring me down to the Ave. But for the most part, after a while, just playing strictly at Gasper's.
Right.
Whatever. So
at this point, you have your equipment set up already. Your turntable.
No, these were clubs.
Okay, so they had.
I played my digital, my
digital vinyl hard drives. We'll make up a name every time you have to mention it. We got DJ Mr. Anderson checking in. For everybody who knew that came in, we are here with DJ Dan representing New Jersey.
Yes.
About his experiences and start in his DJ life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now I'm starting to play in multiple formats. I'm playing hip hop. I'm playing R&B. Depending on the audience, a little bit of R&B, but more hip hop, a little bit of R&B. I'm playing I'm playing club music, some club music. I'm playing classic disco. I'm playing new wave. I'm playing freestyle. And then let's say if I'm doing a wedding and stuff like that, I'm playing oldies on both sides of the tracks. I'm playing like on the Sam Cooke side, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, for the Motown. But I'm also playing Dion, Runaround Sue, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Old
Yeah.
time rock and roll. I'm playing big band, Glenn Miller. I'm playing Benny Goodman.
Wow.
I'm playing all kind of stuff like that. So one of the things that happened is I became very, very versatile in terms of what I was doing because, again, I was playing for all these different audiences. And again, they would request me because people had a good time. They would request me out of their group. And then, like I say, because I didn't know all the music, especially in the beginning, I had to get the request list. I'd go out and I'd buy every song. I'd buy every song. And I would say, okay, fine, no problem. What are the, like, let's say they might give me 50 tracks, 50 records. Anyway, but I would go get it anyway because I wanted to make sure I had every song. They could never ask me for a song.
Right.
So, and then again, what I would do, I would say, look, all right, so I got 50 songs here. I says, but now give me your absolute must-have 10 tracks. And see, that's how I knew how to grind down to the ones that made the most difference. So it's things like that that I did because I didn't have the direct knowledge. So time goes on. I'm doing different things. I'm doing different parties. I'm out of college now at this point, obviously. I'm doing all these parties. So I'm doing, I don't know, 30, 40 parties, 40 parties or more a year. Now I'm playing from 30, 40 parties to like out 4, 5, 6 nights a week. I did that for years.
Wow.
Working in nightclubs, working in here, then doing mobile stuff and putting it all together. So time goes on.
So at this point, are you a full-time DJ? No other job, no nothing. You're just
Yes.
what you're
Yeah.
doing.
And making good money.
Yeah.
But
Somebody asks DJ Howie D asks how many crates did you bring when you had your digital vinyl?
well, let me tell you what. In the beginning, I brought like, I don't know, 6, 8, 10, 12. I brought a whole bunch of crates, put it that way. Matter of fact, I'll tell you, it took me longer to get the crates in than to set up the music. That's how in the beginning. And plus, I have 45s with me.
Wow.
Uh-oh, I shouldn't have said that.
You
said
said
No, my older brother.
said the F word.
So what I did though is I realized after a while, first of all, there's a lot of stuff to carry. And many times I had to do the job by myself. And I said, oh, forget about this. So I said, what I started doing is I started narrowing down. I said, you know what? I'm not really playing this track here. So therefore, there's really no point in bringing that track. And if I do get a request for it, then fine. I'll just be one out of many. I just be one out of many that I do have versus the ones I do. So I start narrowing it down. In the end, and they used to get on me about it, but nobody could ask me for a song that I didn't have. In the end, I had 3 crates. I narrowed it down to 3 crates and 1 thing of 45s. Because what I do every week, I was still in the record pool. The record pool, I would see what's coming, hit, list, boom, boom. But I would say, okay, this one's hitting, this one's hitting, this one's hitting. People not checking for this anymore. You know, it was hot, but you know, it had its run, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what I started doing. So in the end, so I went from 6, 8, sometimes more crates down to, in the end, I never carried more than 3 crates. Then it came time for the CDs. Now,
oh, you did the CD step before you went digital.
But I had to tell you, I went kicking and screaming. Oh no, you can't do this with the CD. Blah, 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 blah. And in the beginning, that was true because I had those 2 little. They had certain songs and I had the two like little Panasonic CD things,
Uh-huh.
and I would put the CD in there and I play, and for certain songs and stuff like that. And but I was hate filled. I didn't want to do it, but finally, kicking and screaming, and they came out with the Denon. Well, they had some other stuff, but I bought the Denon 2500. Uh oh. So I started using that.
You only going back about 22 years. 20,
That's it. I was 4 at the time.
You was 4 years old.
Yeah. So I started with the CDs, and I start with that, and then I bought the crates, and even with the CD crates, I never bought more than three things there. And what I liked about the CDs is that we'd gotten to the point where, for the most part, when I got the Denon, when people danced on the floor, the music didn't. See, I know you know about that. I can see it in your face.
Oh, hey, everybody, put in the chat box if you've ever had the party rocking that much and your needles just skipped all across the record back and forth. Let us know.
How many times people, folks, you cannot jump up and down, even though it's a jump up and down song, And so I went with CDs. So CDs, and I started doing the CD thing. I was, when I finally, embraced it, forget about it. I was a CD guy. So I ran that for several years. One of the things I didn't like about CDs is that you could have, like, I was getting tracks from promo only.
Right.
And you had to, like, let's say on any given CD, if you played it a lot, then fine, you could go at that 18, 20, whatever the number of the tracks on it, and find that track. But if you didn't play that a lot, then you either had to look it up or you had to play fish. But anyway, that was happening. Then all of a sudden these guys started using laptops. And of course,
we had DJ Mr. Anderson. What's up, Gary? He was talking about downloading music. So Gary, he's about to answer your question.
All right. I just a little history. Maybe I'm sharing a little bit too much. So so the next thing you know, the laptops start to emerge. And of course, me, look, I'm loving CDs now, and I don't want to let my CDs go and this and that. But sooner or later, but so what happened was, and I'm DJing this party for kids, and I DJ suburban schools too. I was doing that kind of stuff, like that graduation party, and it rained, and I was under a canopy. And no matter what, besides that, it rained through there. Rain destroyed my equipment.
Wow.
So I was like, okay. And then I said, you know what? Because I had the laptop stuff. At the time I had Virtual DJ. I'm sure every DJ knows about that or started. And if you're doing mobile stuff, a lot of guys are still using that. It probably is, in my opinion. It might be the best software or the most versatile, but you can't show up with a club with that. That's another story.
I know. We got a lot of Serato.
Yeah, you can't show up with a club with that.
We got a lot of Serato people here, so watch your mouth.
Well, we're gonna get. So I said, you know what? So I said, now's the time. So I start playing with the Virtual DJ, and meanwhile my stuff, because my you got to remember my equipment is destroyed.
Yeah.
So I got this gap here between my equipment can get fixed and or replaced, and when I can play again with the CDs. So as you know, so I start fooling around with the CD with Virtual DJ. I started ripping the songs, start plugging into Virtual DJ. Play with that for a while, and then I stumbled across Traktor. Okay, now I got that, and then of course, obviously I heard of Serato, so I got Serato too. But in the end, Tractor was my thing, which I'm still on Tractor
We have
now.
a tractor person, DJ Fame. I think
Okay,
he's a tractor person.
hey, I'm a Tractor guy, but I got to tell you, I had to pay for it. I was
Mm.
on a first name basis with tech support. I told you that earlier. I'm doing that because you know what happened is I'd be playing and the thing would hiccup and had all kind of issues and trying to straighten this. So finally, like I said, I'm on a first name basis with tech support. So Nick says to me, he says, Dan, listen, okay, now I know they're gonna throw tomatoes at me when I say this next thing here. He says, Dan, get a MacBook and your problems that you're calling me about all the time will go away. So
So
I
you
went,
go to the dark side. Almost everybody here has a Mac too. So
hey!
I'm different.
Well, so finally I get the MacBook, and like he said, it was plug and play, and I've been hooked ever since. So I've had a few of them. Yeah. So So I mean, but now just so you know, I have, and I can work any of them because too, when I do certain jobs, I was using their setup, and I had to run Serato, so I know how to work Serato. I got Serato. I have Serato. I have Virtual DJ. I have what else? I have PC DJ. I have DJ Pro and Tractor. But Tractor, that's my go and flow right there.
I hear you.
So yeah. So anyway,
What is it different that for you Tractor does that Virtual DJ and Serato don't do for you?
I don't know if it's a question of that more so than a combination of getting used to it and the features. And
Okay.
some of the things for example, Tractor is the absolute best when it comes to effects and things of that nature. Tractor will, and you can do it to some extent too on some of the other stuff. They have some effects you can buy, packets of things. Like for example, with Serato, you can buy packets, and then you can also do some. I'm going to say plugins for a lack of a better word, but that comes natively with that. Also, the sound is very very good. In addition to that, I like the layout and the way it's situated. But now too, I mean, I have Record Box also. I got the full version, the one that they just
Wow.
started subscription. Man, so I got them all, and the reason I have them all because I pride myself on being versatile. And
Right.
yeah, and then too now, as I go up more and more places, you can use the Pioneer CDJs. I have Pioneer CDJs. I got those because in my mind, I don't want to be a bedroom DJ, and I don't want to. At some point, I want to play on festivals. I'm putting that out there, and if you do that, for the most part, you're gonna play on CDJs, or either CDJs or XDJs. Not to say that you can't play on a controller or whatever, and you can't do the same thing. I got controllers too, but
Right.
the reality of it is, most of the guys, when I say guys, no reference to males or females, most of the people that run these events, first of all, are looking for Pioneer decks. They're looking for CDJs or XDJs. The second part of it, I'm talking about festivals. I'm not talking about, yeah. Then also, too, the other DJs who are the big dogs who can refer and recommend are going to be on CDJs or XDJs. Okay, the promoters are used to seeing guys with CDJs and XDJs. Now, I'm not saying you can't assist that. Listen, I gotta have my controller.
Right.
I'm not saying that the controllers are not as good and you can't do as much stuff with them as you can with the CDJs. But it's just like back in the day when you went into a club, there were 1200s, and you expected to play on the 1200s. I'm not talking about I'm talking about real clubs,
Yeah.
and I say that respectfully.
Hmm.
You're expected to play. So now, at least for the moment, you're expected to have knowledge of XDJs, CDJs. Many times, you're expected to walk in with a flash drive and play. And so, from my perspective, that's usually Record Box. So what I did, I bought the Record Box program so that I could set up my music prior to getting there, and I could go and stick a flash drive and play. Now again, you don't have to do any of that. I'm just saying, if you want to go to certain arenas, then there's certain things that they're going to be looking for.
Right.
And unless you're Louis Vega, and you say, look, this is what I want, here's my writers, or whatever, or Tiesto, or Calvin Harris, or Skrillex, or one of these cats, no, this is the setup. You got to play on it. Let's go. And anyway, but my point is that when you're, I've grown, I've taught myself a lot of stuff. I'm still learning. And, I would say in terms of where I want to be skill-wise, now, for example, I'm a party rocker. All right, that's what I do.
Right.
Now, on a scale of, and I'm going to come in, I'm going to look at that audience, and like most DJs, you're going to read that audience, and you're going to play to rock that crowd. My attitude pretty much is, if I want to, after I finish rocking, if I want to hear my music, I can go in my car and listen to my music. But when I'm out there playing, I'm there playing. But anyway, my point is that when you go, if depending on where you want to go with your music, will dictate things you need to do.
Yeah.
Can you break those rules? Of course, you probably can to some extent, but I'm talking about with the least amount of problems, the least amount of issues you hear. For example, playing New Wave, you're not going to go in there and play freestyle.
Right.
You understand it that way. So anyway, but now here's my last thought on that. I believe that controllers are taking over. At some point, that just like with me, with records and CDs that went kicking and screaming, I believe that's the wave of the future. Anyway, that's just my little thought there.
Yeah, and you're saying that even though they have the phase, they have the Rain 12s, which emulate a turntable. Really, one is a turntable, just no needle, and the other one is a digital turntable. Again, no needle. So again, no bumping, no scratching, no. If the party is rocking, it's not gonna skip. So.
But the reality of the situation, you're talking to a person who's done lots of interviews, has been on the stage many times, who's dreaming of being on the stage. I'm telling you the reality of it is that even if you don't own, if you want to play in a festival, even if you don't own CDJs or XDJs, you need to learn how to play them. And it's pretty much, and you can do it. I mean, you can play on a controller. You typically can play on a CD. You just got to learn what this is, that is, and then also too, you're going to need to play. If you use flash drives, you're going to need to play by ear for the most part, as opposed to looking at that screen and making sure those wave files are lined up. So those are some little things. And of course, if you played records and CDs back in the day, then you had to do it by ear. You couldn't there was nothing to look at to line up these things and stuff like that.
Right.
And you got some, and I'm gonna say a four-letter word. I'm gonna cuss at you right now. At least for a lot of DJs. Okay, here's the four-letter. When I say the four-letter word, what am I thinking about? I know what you're thinking. When I say the four-letter word starts with S, I know what you're thinking.
My mind is in the gutter, so you might as well go ahead and say it.
You're thinking sink. You're thinking the sink.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah. That's another, like, for many DJs. I'm talking on a festival level. you might as well cuss that DJ out. You might as well cuss that promoter out or whatever if you're talking sync buttons. So that's just a little bit of history for me in terms of playing, in terms of equipment, stuff like that. I have both. I have my niece Joy calls it my to-go system, and I use that, the controller, when I'm doing parties, outdoor, mobile stuff. But in that club environment,
Yeah.
forget about it. Yeah.
So DJ Dan,
Mhm.
getting back to the all the digital programs, your virtual DJ, your record box, all of them.
Mhm.
What year did you actually switch over?
2011.
2011. Okay. And
Mhm.
how long did it take you to get comfortable using it so you can leave your vinyl or whatever you were using at the time home?
Okay. Okay. It probably took me. Okay, so there's really two parts to that. And since we have time, I'll tell you. It probably took me about maybe not even 3 months to get used to it. But the issue wasn't so much getting used to it. The issue was all the problems I was having with the latency, with the computer shutting off and restarting, and you haven't lived until you're in a party and you're and
I'm sure that's happened to everybody. Hey,
I,
DJs, if you're out there and your computer ever
right.
shut off or got froze, put it in the chat box.
Oh, listen, my goodness. Oh, Lord. So that was the thing. And that's when, again, like I say, so now I'm using Tractor. And the Tractor is free. It's doing all kinds of stuff like that. And I'm trying to work this out, change it. And that's when Nick said, listen.
Go to the dark side.
Yes,
That's
this
all
will make
that
your life easier. Get a MacBook Pro, and your life will be much easier. And he was right. He was right. All right. And for all you MacBook guys out there, give me a virtual high five.
Look what DJ Tommy Lee said. See, I'm
Okay.
not like it right now. I'm a PC guy. That's all I know.
We'll pray for you. Don't worry.
We got a couple of people checking in. We got Mr. David Bowles checking in. We got Chris Gloss checking in. This is our interview with DJ Dan representing New Jersey, talking about his life experiences with the DJ and how he got started. So now we're around 2011, 2012.
Right.
Where are you now?
Okay, at that point, let's say by 2012, 2013, I'd worked out pretty much all the bugs with the system. Pretty much. Not to say I haven't had issues since then, but pretty much worked out the bugs. I'm very comfortable. I'm running my Tractor. I'm doing my parties and stuff like that. At this point, I had backed off of nightclubs. I mean, I played the Gaston, the Nook, El Colonial. I played a whole bunch of places. But at this point, I had backed off that. And
this is mostly in New Jersey.
I would say mostly in New Jersey, but probably the farthest I went was South Carolina and then Virginia. And then I did a lot of stuff in New York and did that kind of stuff. So kind of just depending on where the job came up and where the money was flowing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So that's what I'm doing that, doing a mobile job. Then along the way, too, I'm doing this stuff full time, and my parents were like, "Look, what you gonna do for a living here?" Look. So my father was like, "Look, I ain't send you to school to play records." Listen, and besides, ain't no music. It's just boom, 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 boom.
They're hoppity.
Yeah, so he wasn't really checking for my stuff. So anyway, after lots of agitation, irritation, and intimidation, I fell into real estate, which I've been doing, for most of my adult life.
Okay.
As a real estate broker, who employs agents, and also as an investor also. So I have both scenarios there. But 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 my about 3 years ago, I used to say to myself, if you ask me what do I enjoy more, the real estate or the DJing music, about 3 years ago, I admitted to myself, if I had to do my life over again, I probably would have gone down the straight DJing route. There's no telling I would have been then. Then
Right.
sometimes I forgive myself and I say, well, if you had gone down the straight DJ route, then you wouldn't know what you know. You wouldn't have met the people you met. And also being able to use this knowledge as a launch pad for what I'm doing now. So that's how I forgive myself. But to be honest with you, music is my first love. Uh, so anyway,
Yeah.
that's where I am at that point. Okay.
So now I know, and some of the people here may not know, is that you do the same thing that I'm doing,
Mhm.
which is interviewing
Mhm.
your musical guests. Tell us
Yeah.
a little about that.
Okay. I can go straight to it, or I can give you the backstory. Whatever is good for
Backstory. We got time.
you. Okay. All right. So here's the backstory. Okay. Um, again, if you look at your life, there's pivotal people or pivotal or seminal people, whatever you want to term it, and or events or things. So, a pivotal point for me was in real estate. Um, I one of the things that I did. There was two scenarios. Is that I was put in charge of a committee of getting speakers, the education committee.
Okay.
But prior to that, I did volunteer work and still do volunteer work with Rotary. I don't know if you've heard of Rotary. Rotary is an international volunteer organization. We do community service, international service.
I was a part of one at one time for about a year.
Okay, all right. So what happened was um, one of the things that happened is every week you have to have speakers. So what happened, it fell to me to get speakers. I would watch this guy by the name of Gordon. And Gordon would have speakers every week. And I said, okay. And I'm like, how you get the speakers? Because I asked him. Okay. I said, ooh, that's complicated.
How you do this?
Uh-huh.
You talk to people?
Yeah. Uh-huh. So I started asking people. And then I said, you know what? I have this theory I call the parking lot theory. It's very, very simple. It's like when you go to park, go up to the front and see if you can get a space there, as opposed to automatically parking in the back. Unless you want to get your steps in. I do that too. But rule of thumb, I'm going to go to the front. So let me translate to this. So I started going after, quote unquote, the big willies. I says, well, wait a minute. I can, and the most that he or she could say to me is no.
Yep.
And a surprising number said yes. So I started doing that. So I started doing that also with the real estate, where I was in education committee and bringing big speakers and stuff like that. And then also too, I started doing it with Rotary. So fast forward, I get a call from my buddy Chuck, who I'm still with, who's a friend of Henry. Again, a seminal person,
Mm.
pivotal person. He says, listen, Chuck is starting this whole thing with a radio show. And I said, okay, interesting. And so my buddy and I were originally, as two black guys, were going to play New Wave, which we
Right.
thought would have attracted a lot of attention. Because, first of all, New Wave is not really played. And maybe people on the call don't know about New Wave. But New Wave was the music that came out in the 80s. It was originally out of like places like out of Europe.
Yeah.
And it was pretty big back in the mid to late 80s. It was very, very big. And so we said we're going to do that and or freestyle, which also was pretty big back then. And, one thing led to another. And in the end, he just kind of fell by the wayside, and I was going to do it. But then I said, okay, so we set the date. And what happened was I said, I need a partner here. So there was this young lady by the name of Cheryl. And Cheryl was like, put it this way. Um, I I would be Abbott and she would be Costello. Let me put it like that. So I was the straight man, but she was naturally. I mean, like, no, I mean, she was like loud, boisterous, whatever. And I thought that would be the perfect match because, and it was. And we did that for a while. People were checking for us, and I would mostly bring in the guests and stuff like that. And then Cheryl the Pearl, and she would do her thing, and it was a great combination. We did that for several years, and she kind of fell off, and then I started doing it just by myself. The name of the show was called Follow My Beat, and it was a combination of music. In the beginning, it was run, but it morphed into current events with a twist. And so we brought in politicians, brought in
Wow.
AIDS survivors. HIV survivors, breast cancer survivors. I brought in attorneys. I brought in, you put it this way. I brought in volunteer organizations. I brought people for different professions. You name it, I brought somebody in with that.
Wow.
And yeah. So we'd had a difference. So that went on for about 8 years. But then there was this thing brewing in the background, and that was the house music. And I love house music. Now, depending on your audience, in particular, I'm talking about soulful house. Soulful house is the original house music that came out of Chicago. That style of music. I'm not talking about, and I like it. I'm not talking about EDM. I'm not talking about trance. I'm not talking about jump. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about soulful, which for the most part includes soulful house, Afro house, gospel house, jacking house. All right. I'm not talking about tech house. I'm not talking about which I like, but I'm just saying this is a particular genre.
Your house, huh?
Yeah. So that's what I was going.
That's why you're a realtor, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. Well, I don't think I ever told you when I first heard the word house music. I used to be embarrassed to tell people, but now I don't care. When I first heard the term house music, I thought that meant music you played in the house. I didn't realize.
Technically.
I didn't realize.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I just knew I was going to events, and I wanted to that really was where my interest lied. But at the same time, I had a pretty successful show called Follow My Beat, and I was like, I don't know. And it's kind of like you ever have like a bad tooth that you need to fix or something on your body or something that's irritating you that you need to address. You get a bad tooth and that thing like make you crazy. And then you say, all right, Monday, I'm going to get it fixed. And then you drug up or whatever you do and you start feeling a little better. Then by Monday you say, well, Monday's going to be pretty busy. And maybe I'll feel a little better. Maybe
Wednesday.
Yes. So it went on for about a year.
Wow.
Yeah, and folks, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody out there has something that they should take care of, and they just don't get to it. And they're all good reasons, but they just don't get to it. And that's why I wasn't there. So finally I said, you know what? So Real Key, pivotal person, Lenny Fontana. I meet him at the DJ convention in Atlantic City. And he's telling about
he'll be there this year if they still have it.
Yeah, I would have been there too. Anyway.
They moved it to November, so.
Okay, so hopefully that will be. Yeah. Well, so I meet Lenny Fontana, and at the time he's doing this thing. He's got a track, Lenny, out of Karmic Power Records, and he's got a track that he did with B Train. So he's got this track, and he's, oh yeah, man, I'm doing blah 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 blah. I said, great. I said, well, yeah, so listen, I'm looking to do this show called Soulful House Nation. So okay, great. I said, well, listen, I'm gonna be doing interviews and stuff like that. I says, well, listen, when I make it happen, will you come out for an interview? He says, yes. I said, great. So now I said, okay, well, at least I got a guest coming.
At least one.
At least one guest. But then, again, pivotal person. I go to an event. It's in Military Park in Newark. I think Tim Wise was doing the event, but I'm not sure. And he does Ubiquity Soul out of Newark. Does about 4 events. Well, he did do about 4 events during the course of the year. And I see a guy by the name of Eddie Nicholas. Eddie Nicholas is very, very popular in the Northeast. And in our northern New Jersey, in the soulful house community, very, very popular. He's an artist, MC, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I said, Eddie, listen, I'm getting ready to do this show called Soulful House Nation. Could I do an interview with you? He said yes. Eddie Nicholas was my first guest.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, so I do the interview. Then there was another young lady out of Patterson, Carolyn Bird, called Bird, very, very big soulful house community. She did a phone interview. Then my friend Craig Oliver, who I told you about, did an interview. A little bit later on, I go into the studio with Lenny Fontana, DJ Beloved, Naeem Johnson, unfortunately Glenn Williams. So I started doing these interviews. Now, you got to know in the beginning.
Now, what year is this? Did you start those interviews?
This was 2017.
Okay.
17, yeah.
You've been doing this for a good couple of years now.
Yeah. So August will be 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and over the years, straight shows, I've done about 150, 160 interviews.
Wow, I feel like a baby. This is number 32.
Yeah, but you know what? You're doing them back to back to back to back.
I know.
Anyway. So you're putting blood, sweat, and tears in this.
Yeah, a lot of tears.
Yeah.
A lot of sweat.
So I'm doing, so now I'm doing both shows at the same time. But and I'm afraid to let go or follow my beat because I had, quite a bit of success with it. But I said, if I'm going to really make this thing work, I got to go hard with this. Now, here's the thing, and I'm going to say this to everybody out there. You have an idea right now that you feel it, it's in your soul, it keeps popping up like a bad tooth that you need to take care of it, or maybe it's a bad knee that you need to get fixed. Maybe you got a backache. You got something going on that you need to take care of. Yeah. And I'm suggesting to you, musically, you've got something you need to take care of. That's most of us. But it's the actual getting, because in reality, you have the idea, it's like you got this gorilla inside, like the Lord gives you this idea, this gift, passion, whatever, but you really don't know if it's going to work till you try it. And in the beginning, it may not work gangbusters like you had in mind, or maybe people that you wanted to reach weren't so responsive, or a lot of different things can happen. But see, here's the real point, is that you've got to go for it. See, and that's what I did. I started to go for it. Now, in the beginning, people weren't like, "Woo! Thank God you're here." Woo! Boy, I don't know what we were gonna do.
That happens to me all the time.
That's right. And I was suffering from a bad case of damn who.
Yep.
That's the reality of the situation. But I decided that I had to do it. So I discontinued, follow my beat. I walked away from it, and I started doing Soulful House Nation. So I started going out. I started asking for interviews. I had them on Facebook. I've seen them when I first. And when you're a kid, what parents, elders, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Police say, don't talk to who?
Strange.
Exactly. But guess what? If I was going to have any success with this thing,
Reach out. You only got but so many friends that even talk to you.
that's right. That's right. So strangers. So I had to really get good at approaching people I didn't know. And so I can tell you in the beginning, I was a little fearful about it. And I can't say even now, I'm like, sometimes but two things. Number one, you do it anyway. And then the second thing is you'll find that I can't, I've done 150, 160 interviews straight up like we're talking now. And then, I don't know, maybe 300-400 cameos or more.
Wow.
But I could tell you, I've never, ever, 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 ever had any person get nasty with me and say, get out of here. Now, never had it happen.
That never happens to me either.
Yeah, it's more in your mind. Now, I've had people say, listen, not get back to me. I've had people say yes, and then we couldn't make it happen.
Yeah.
I've had that. I've had a couple scenarios where I had interviews set up and the people didn't make it or didn't show and whatever. But I will tell you, I would say out of 100% of the people that I've approached and I've made arrangements with, I would say at least 98%, 97% of them have come through and done what they've said we're going to do. Now, again, I only say this because I know everybody out there has something that's in their mind, in their heart, whatever, that they're thinking that they have not moved on it.
Yeah.
Move on it. And you know what? You'll straighten things out as you go. If you don't have the whole plan, but move on it. If I can't move on it, move on it, move on it, move on it. Okay. So now what happens is, I got people calling me. I'm calling people. People know who I am when I get to them for the most part because I'm operating in a niche. And so our next stage with this is, for me personally, I want to play. I'm a DJ first, interviewer second. A lot of people may not realize that. And a lot of people are hearing me DJ for first. I didn't know you could DJ. Yeah, no, I'm DJ first. I've been doing that for years. Interviewing things kind of came along later. But I started doing this show, and it's really, really, really been a blessing and a godsend for me because it's not only the idea, but it's bringing the idea from your mind to the real world and seeing how it works and seeing how the great people I've met. And it's just been a joy in that regard. And then, too, it's kind of nice when you walk into a place and say, hey, Dan, what's up? DJ Dan. And then my little tagline, get ready, get ready, get ready. I call the phone and they say, get ready, get ready, get ready. Oh, it's to get ready, man. And, because, the repetition. Yeah. And then I got to tell you, this, I just want to stay on this for a minute because it's really, really important. So when you start your idea, many of the people that you start with or say they're down with you, number one, will not be the people that you end up working with, all right? I had maybe 8 to 10 people say, oh, yeah, I'm down, till the first sign of work came. And all of a sudden, I was standing there by myself except for one person, TR, still with me. TR. Nice. And then later on, I got blessed. My niece came along with Joy, and Joy brought a whole lot of energy, and she brought people with her. And I got to tell you, we got a serious team now. Now,
I need to borrow her.
You have to get your own niece. I'm telling you. But my goodness, she, and along with the people she brought, I mean, it's just been a serious godsend. And what I'm just really saying this because, look, when you have that idea and you move on it, many of the people that you thought were going to be down are not really the ones. They're not really the ones. I got a buddy who's a very, very good friend of mine, and I won't say his name. I'm not going to say his name. But listen, he could have introduced me to many of the people I met along the way.
Yeah.
Because he could have made a phone call, cleared, never did it. But you know what? That's okay because you know what? It built up my personal strength,
Yeah.
approaching people, cold approaches. It also, too, put me in a position to learn how to have these conversations with people, et cetera, et
Yes.
cetera, et cetera. So again, my whole point of that really is that, hey, you know what? Everybody out there has got something that only you can bring to the table. I'm going to say, do it, do it, do it, do it. Move on. Okay. All right. Enough of that.
And that's one of the reasons why I started this community. You
Mm-hmm.
know, DJs are, in my view, the most overlooked people.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that get the party going,
Mm-hmm.
get the party in the middle, get the
Mm-hmm.
party ended.
That's right. That's right.
But they are the most overlooked, and they all have stories. And I wanted to do this community so people can tell their story, so DJs can tell their story before
Mm-hmm.
somebody else tells their story.
Right, right, right. Mm-hmm.
Because,
Well,
like you said, everybody has one. Of all the 20 something, all the interviews that I've done,
mm-hmm.
everybody's story is so different and similar.
Mm-hmm. Right,
You know,
right.
it's a powerful thing to, like you say, get what you have inside and just go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm. That's
Going back to, um, you were talking about 98% of your guests show up. Is there
right.
something you can share, a secret or something that
Okay.
that would, and it's not only for
Yeah,
guests,
I'm
it
gonna tell you.
people too.
I'm gonna tell you. Okay. There's a few elements that I see. Okay, one part is on the people, and one part is on what I do. Okay, one part on the people is you gotta remember too, and I didn't realize it till later, that a lot of these guys are very, very good, but nobody ever asked their opinion. Nobody ever said, "Hey, listen, let me put you out there like that." So, so it's a big deal, I
Yeah.
find. And as the show grows, which the show has grown, it's it's a big deal, you know. And now, for example, I just interviewed First Choice, you know. So I mean, hey, that was
I
a big deal.
listened to that whole interview, and it was very interesting. You
Oh,
know how it was ran for one, but
mhm.
their stories on how they switched out people, and
Mhm.
they're still doing their thing at, you know at their
Yeah,
age of 36.
30. So yeah, so I mean that I've interviewed some of the biggest names in the soulful house community. I mean, for those of you who don't know, and let's say you play house, you may or may not have heard of Jesse Saunders. Jesse Saunders made the song On and On. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, whatever. He's the first person that ever made a house track. And yeah, it's called On and On. You can find it. I just did an interview with him. And that happened because I met this angel out of Switzerland called Babu Francisca, and she made a connection. I just had a conversation with Mike Clark out of Detroit. And for those of you who are into techno, Mike Clark goes back to the beginning when the techno, and he knows the guys that started the whole techno thing, which came originally from
Wow.
Chicago, but then it went to in Detroit. They started making their own sounds with the 908s and 808s, those different type of drum machines, and that's Derek May and Atkins, all these guys. And this guy knows these guys. He was there. And
Wow.
my point is that there's so much of that I've been able to do. So, but for the most part, now I have Steve Hurley coming up. Steve Hurley, I'm going to do a quick
For
interview.
real?
Jack your body, jack your body.
Yeah, I'll be listening to that one too.
So I'm going to do a quick little 2-minute thing. Then we're going to set up a full scale interview with him. But my point really is that these people are so huge, and then there's a lot of contemporary ones,
Yeah.
but they don't really get to tell their story that often. So that's one of the things I didn't realize. So that's one reason to show up, a chance to tell this story, put the word out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, second part is my mission. My mission is very, very simple. I want to take Soulful House to the public. My belief is if they hear it, they're going to like it. Now, for the people who say, oh, no, but wait a minute. For the people, for example, for the people who say, oh, I don't like hip hop. Okay, fine. You may not like hip hop as a genre, but there's a song out there that you like. You know, you may not, oh yeah, because it reminds me, they sampled something. And,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that reminds me of some that one, you know, they do, you know, whatever. And that happens. Now, some people like trap, some people don't like trap. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, I like music and I like trap. I don't like every trap song, but I like trap in general. I don't like every hip hop song, but I like hip hop. I don't like every Soulful House song, but I like Soulful House.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, my point is this. So that's part of it. So it's what my goal is. The fact that I'm giving an artist, DJ, promoter, et cetera, a chance to tell their story, and with reverence, because I made a decision right up front that I wasn't going to play gotcha with them. It was going to be, hey, listen, I got this resource here, this mountain of information, this icon, et cetera, in front of me. What I want to do is I want to find out everything I possibly can from this gentleman or this lady. Okay, so that then the other issue is the process. So in order to come on the show, after we do initial, I need certain things from you. I want a picture. Okay, I want your email address. I want your phone number. I'm going to send you sample questions. And you need to reply back to me at certain points. We're going to confirm. So by the time you go through this process, you're committed. So, I mean, I had one situation with a guy worked in a funeral home and he couldn't get out for that 20-minute segment. I had another guy who had a death in the family. I had one more who I don't know what happened to him, but we rescheduled him. So maybe out of all those, maybe I had maybe 3, 4 max that that didn't show or whatever, and the rest of them, so they come through. But again, it's what we're doing. It's that person's opportunity to tell their story in a friendly, fun, meaningful environment, and then it's our process. And that's what happens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important that people, the DJs or whoever's listening here, should know that you have to be a little persistent with not a little, a lot, with following up, because people have their life.
They do.
And what you're doing is taking a piece of it. So I have to remind you that you're giving me a piece of your life.
Mm-hmm.
We've been on about an hour and 20 minutes now.
Okay, wow. There's people still there?
and there's people still here listening.
Okay.
From all the platforms that I'm streaming to right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, that consistent non-offensive reminders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are we still on? Like you did me today.
Mm-hmm.
I had planned to call you probably 5 minutes after you text me and say, "Hey, are we still on?"
Mm-hmm. Right. Now, where are you?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm glad you did that, because I didn't have to hunt you down.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And see where you are.
Right.
So it. And unfortunately, some people are those that will agree and don't even contact you again.
Right.
We all get it, whether you're a DJ, whether you're interviewing, certain types of people. We all get it, and you have to have that alligator skin just to, bear the brunt, because it does sting.
Right.
But like you said, you go ahead and do it anyway. You keep going. You have your backup.
Mm-hmm.
Have something in place in case that person doesn't show up.
Right, right.
And you don't know all of this until you start your process.
You, and that's key. That's key. Sometimes I had a gentleman who we're going to continue conversation with. Um, it- Here's something you always should. This is a little thing, a little thing just to keep in mind, especially when you start doing interviews at the level you're doing it. And I'm just telling you some stuff I found out the hard way. Um, okay, like my show goes on 1 p.m. Eastern.
Oh yeah, I I make sure because I talk to so many people in different languages. I call it American time.
See,
Eastern Standard is American time to me.
listen. So I have an interview coming up with a gentleman in South Africa, Andrew Fellow. See,
Yeah,
then I have an interview on August 3rd with CKP, C to the K to the P. Anyway, he's a big time house music DJ, but he's out of UK. I had to tell him 1 p. Eastern. I did Sebastian Creets out of France, 1 p.m. Eastern. So I'm just saying, when you start, if you're doing local people, then hey, you can say 1 o'clock, and everybody knows 1 o'clock. But if you start doing, yeah. Quick question, unrelated but related. Where's the interview? Because I got people texting me about where they can find the interview.
it's actually on. It's on my personal page and my DJ interview page. So if
Okay,
they type in DJ interview, they should see the page.
go to your personal page or DJ interview.
Either one
Okay,
is showing the same thing.
okay, all right.
I'm getting this technology down.
Okay. All right. So I'm just going to send this to them. Just bear with me 1 minute. And then, yeah. All right. So, yeah. 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 So, okay. I just sent the text to them and now I can find it.
It's also in the description.
Okay.
Every link to everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But yeah, this has been really great and interesting to know because what I want to do is bring on different. I just don't want to bring on that person that plays hip hop all the time. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of these DJs that I've had the pleasure of putting on,
Mm-hmm.
and again, it was through the initial push was through DJ Tommy Lee and DJ Lady D Wells.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They turned me on to a few people, and that's what got my confidence up to keep this thing going.
Mm-hmm.
Because with the thought, I only thought of this like 2 weeks before I even put it on,
Hey, it's fun.
and I didn't have anybody, and all I knew was this is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you meet 2 or 3 people here and there, and you have to reach out to strangers, like you were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm going weekly, it's a little bit easier.
Mm.
I did the straight 30 days and woo wee.
Boot camp.
That was a straight up boot camp. That was thrown and you just go ahead and do it. See what happens.
All right. Wow. Well, I like I said, it's very, very exciting for me because I want to see this kind of thing happen, and people talking to DJs and talking to people. And if you're a DJ, you're a little bit out there compared to most people because most people have their little job, and I'm no disrespect. They have their little job, they make their little pay. They take a little vacation. They live in their little house, drive their little car. They take their little trips. And at the end, they come home, they watch a little TV, and they have their little meal. They go to bed, take their little sleep, get up in the morning, get up, get the little
All over
breakfast.
again.
See, when you're DJ, you automatically you trying to get 2 lives into one. I mean, Because, I would say most DJs have some type of quote unquote real job, um, to hear others tell it. But after most people finish their real job, they just want to go home and chill, watch TV, watch Mad About You, whatever they do, get something to eat, go to bed, and that's it.
Yeah.
But we have a different life. And, everybody won't understand that. And I always say, listen, and I don't mean it disrespectfully, they don't have to understand. They didn't get the gift. They
Yeah.
didn't get the love. They didn't get the passion. They didn't get it. That came to whoever you are as a DJ. Now, what I also will tell you is that, again, I kind of succumbed to my parents pushing me, pushing me, pushing me. But, a lot of people think you really can't make a living DJing. You can do very well DJing. Well, you've been down to the convention at AC, and you meet full-time DJs. That's what they do. They got serious companies. I'm like,
I've
that's
interviewed,
$2 million, $3 million companies.
yeah, I've
You can pick
interviewed
them up. Yeah.
full-time DJs. DJ Cam with
hmm
Ancient Radio, DJ
hmm
Fame. He tours with Flash, Grandmaster Flash,
Okay. hmm
and I think it was one more, and
hmm
I don't remember, but there is a few out there now, and I plan on getting to many more DJs.
hmm
As many as I can for as long as I can go.
Right. Well, this is what I would say to you too. See, I met this young lady. I went to see this doctor, and this doctor had a daughter that he played the video for me. And when I tell you her voice was operatic, her voice was killer.
Right.
And I said to her, I says, wow, she's doing something. She says, no, she's going to college and to get an education to be a doctor. I said, well, why didn't she sing? He says, well, you can't really count on that. So I said to him, I says, oh, really? I said, so you can count on being a doctor, but you can't count on being an artist. I said, let me clear it up for you. I said, here's the real deal. The real deal is whatever you devote the time and energy to, and you learn the business of it, you can do very well.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's the reality of the situation. See, most people, okay, I'm just going to say just a couple of things here. And this is all love talk here. Okay, see,
Tough love.
most people approach DJing from the standpoint, I love the music. And that's great. You should love the music. But there's no business with it. All right. And what I mean by that is that if you're going to do a business, then you got to have a thing called business development. Now you can tell when they don't have a business plan or business development, when they say, well, how do you get your events? How do you get your parties? And they say, well, word of mouth. I should say murder mouth. And the reason I'm going to say that is because that will kill you. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that word of mouth is the best business. And, let's argue that it is. But let me share something with you. Here's the problem. There's two basic problems with word of mouth. Problem number one is you can never tell when Harry is sitting down with his wife and says, listen, we need to do a birthday party for so-and-so. We need to do this event. Not only do you not know when he's going to do that, the second thing, you can't predict it. The second problem with it is you can't duplicate it.
Right.
I can't see, it's not a business if you can't duplicate the process, if you can't predict it. But see, here's what I do know in business development. Like I'm in the real estate business, and that business I choose to develop. So I know if I make X amount of contacts, I'm going to make X amount of appointments. I'm going to sign X amount of contracts. Very simple. All you got to do is figure out that ratio.
Yep.
So let's say you pick a target audience you're going after. Let's just say you want to do weddings. Then fine, you subscribe to wedding magazines, whatever, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You find out where the brides are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then if you contact X amount of brides, X amount are going to respond. X amount are going to respond, you'll have a conversation with X amount of them. And then you have X amount, you're going to book. So let's just do the numbers real quick. So let's just say let's say you contact You're gonna have to contact 10 brides. You can contact 10 brides. You make a deal. You sign a contract. So what that means is that every day you sit down and you contact 10 brides. Very simple. All right.
Too easy.
Yeah, yeah. But see, most people don't recognize it. They say, well, I'm counting on word of mouth, and that's how I get my business. And I'll tell you, most of those people are starving. You got to say, okay, I need to speak to X amount of people. So if I want to get 10 jobs, I got to speak to 100 people. Very simple.
Yes.
So, again, I just made up the number. I don't know what the number, but that's the deal.
Is this Joy who you were talking about?
That's my niece.
I need to borrow you, Joy.
No. And no, fall back. Fall back. Nobody can have Joy. Fall back. Fall back. No.
Oh, man.
Godsend to me. She's a godsend.
Yeah.
Anyway. So like I say, yeah, most people don't realize they're in they think they're a DJ, but if you want to make money, you're in the business of selling DJ services. That's the reality of the situation.
So a couple of more questions and then we can start wrapping this thing up.
Okay. All right.
So what do you tell a brand new DJ coming into this business? They have no connections, no nothing. What do you tell that DJ? What advice do you give them?
Okay, I'm going to suggest, ideally, you start with something you love. And it's a falsehood to think that you have to love everything you do. It's just not true. If not, then most people or many people wouldn't work the jobs they work in. So, but I think it's a plus if you start with something you love. That's number one. Number two, realize that you have to do business development. Meaning that you've got to find out. There's 3 M's, 3 issues. Issue number one, who do you want to go after? Who's your market? Okay, number 2 is, what's your message? What are you communicating? What do they need to understand about you? To say, hey, listen, I need to have a conversation with this man or woman. And the third thing is media. How are you going to reach them? So, example, if I want whales, I'm not going to the goldfish bar. I'm going to the ocean. So that's who you want. If you want to do weddings, then go where brides are. And you can find them in magazines. You can advertise there. You can go out there. You can go to they do showcases, like all kind of things. Go where your audience is. So or get to yours. And the media is how you reach them, whether it's email, whether it's phone, whatever. Okay, so that's it. So number one is pick something you like, an audience you really want to work with. Number 2, you want to make sure that you get the 3 M's in place. Number 3, you want to do a budget. You want to see if it pays to do that. So in other words, you can go after an audience where there's no money. As long as you subsidize that somewhere, that's fine. You can't. Make sure you go after an audience where there's money and you can make financial goals. The third thing is you got to learn the craft. All right, very, very key. Learn the craft. When I say learn the craft, it's not just being able to cut and scratch if you're a hip hop DJ. It's not just being able to blend if you're a DJ, hip hop or house music. It's not only that, but it's learning the music, the programming. I need to tell you, if you had to choose between programming and skill set, pick the programming every time.
Yeah.
I have friends that have been DJing for many, many years. Matter of fact, longer than I've been alive. Because, only 26,
Yeah.
And that guy, until this pandemic, was doing 100 parties a year. He never mixed once in his life. I mean, he wouldn't know a mix if it hit him. But it's not the issue. The issue is the program. Okay, so learn the music. Okay, and then there's some on the practical side. Listen, you have to be okay that everybody's not checking for you. All right, and a DJ asked me not too long ago, "Oh, Dan, how do you feel about support?" Well, hey, that's just the way it is. See, see, you got to be okay with that. You can't get mad because people aren't checking for you.
Right.
Hey, they're busy. Um, they're doing their own thing. Hey, maybe they're not feeling you. That's okay too. Hey,
Yeah.
some people like Bruce Springsteen. Some people like Michael Jackson, and some people don't like both of them. You like Prince. Some people, and you gotta be okay with that. Ain't checking for you.
Uh, uh,
And then too, the other thing too, the last thing I will say is learn your craft. That means the music, reading crowds, programming, and then if you can get the mixing and all the other stuff going, that's really, really good. And the last thing, not the two last things. Well, patience, but patience in there goes persistence and staying at it, not being obnoxious, not being annoying, but just staying at it.
yeah.
Whether people, places, things, staying at it. So those would be my hints there. So.
Nice. And
Mhm.
what I tell people, because we had this conversation in my first 30 days about, everybody starts with zero.
Right.
And whether you DJ or whether you're doing these interviews,
Mhm.
you have to talk like there's hundreds of thousands of people out there, and nobody may be watching you.
That's right. I know all about that.
Yeah, I do it too, and especially when you first starting things.
Mhm.
I see DJ Cam. He was. I think when you were mentioning the ocean, when you want a whale, you go to the ocean. He said, "Yeah, that's the science to get work,"
Mhm.
and it is. You have to put in your time,
Mhm.
and I don't want to say hopefully, but I don't want to say it will work because you don't know.
Mhm.
You just need
Right.
to put this time in and get stuff under your belt and get people to like you and to follow you,
Mhm.
and then it starts to grow.
Mhm. Right.
Then you
Right.
get introduced to more people,
Yeah.
whether you're a DJ or you're interviewing like we are.
Mhm.
You're both. I'm a retired DJ.
Okay.
um, but you have to put that time in.
Gotta put the work in.
Yeah,
There's no getting around that. There's no
there's
getting
no
around
getting around it,
it. Mm-mm.
and that's where some people will fall off
Yes.
when they don't see the numbers that they want to see and everything.
Oh.
I don't worry about that. This is stuff I know I'm doing.
Mhm.
I'm doing things off the side that I'm not mentioning just yet.
Mhm.
But I got different people that I'm working with right now, and we're working on summits and courses, and
Mhm.
taking this thing to a next level.
Mhm.
So one of my other questions is, who who do you know that needs to be here on this DJ interview?
Okay. Are you looking for a DJ or somebody who's in the business or what? Tell me what.
A DJ,
Okay. A DJ.
one or two DJs who you think need to be here to tell their story.
Okay. I would tell you. I probably would recommend one mobile DJ who I have a great relationship with, and probably one Soulful House DJ. So I can get that to you. Uh, I can get that to you. I can get that right. So that's a great question, by the way.
And
Good.
that's
That's,
that again. This is what we've been talking about. Open your mouth.
right.
You never know.
That's right.
Hey, you could have said easily, "I don't know. I don't have anybody that I don't
Mhm.
mess with," and it
Right.
would still been okay.
Mhm.
But
Right.
you don't know until you start that conversation. So
Well, I'm here because of a referral. Hey,
yes, you from Rhonda, and Rhonda, she's still on. Hey, Rhonda,
okay.
Miss Rhonda Supreme.
Yes. And listen, that's business development.
Yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's how it all starts. And then it snowballs. And then, it was still up to me to reach out to you.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Right.
People have a part and you have a part too.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So,
Right.
I appreciate the connection because we clicked almost immediately.
Yes. 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 Well, I can feel the love. And again, Rhonda's not gonna hook me up with bums.
I hope not. I did go to hair and makeup.
No, just kidding, Rhonda. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. But I felt the love right off the beginning. So,
Yeah.
and this is really just the beginning of our conversations. Keep it real with
Yeah.
you.
It,
Mm-hmm.
it really is.
Mm-hmm.
So now, wrapping this up, how do people stay in contact with you or listen to your stuff, DJ Dan Dan?
Okay. I have an internet radio show called Soulful House Nation. You can type it up. You can hit it up that way. You can go under my name. My name is Dan Shiver, Dan, then Shiver, SHIV like in Victor, ER. You can hit me up. You can also reach me by email, soulfulhousenation@gmail.com. We have a fan page, Soulful House Nation. We have a group, Soulful House Nation Group. We have a YouTube channel, Soulful House Nation. We have an Instagram page, Soulful House Nation. We have a website, soulfulhousenation.com. So it's pretty much accessible on multiple formats. Everything is Soulful House Nation. You will see a logo, Soulful House Nation, the original house music, and you'll see people dancing in there. It's like a little bit of a flag type thing,
Right.
with stars and stuff on it. And that's how you can reach me. Um, I have just one parting thought. I just want to re-emphasize it.
Speak, bro.
Um,
We ain't on nobody's time.
okay. See, nobody has what you have. Nobody. And
What do you mean?
in other words, nobody has the gift that you have as an individual. And everybody's got out there has something that they know that they should do and they should work on. And I just really, really want to hit that point again. It's really important that you bring that to the world because nobody else can bring that to the world except you.
Right.
And it'd be a shame if you never do it. So that's my thought. And then again, you can always reach me. I'm accessible. I return phone calls. I respond to emails if you want. So I'm accessible. So if you hit me up, I'm happy to help you or answer questions and things of that nature. So that's it. Mm-hmm.
Well, I do thank you for your time. We've been on about an hour and 45 minutes, and I'm sure we can go a little bit longer. But are you available to come back at another time?
Yes, if you have me, absolutely.
But of course.
Okay.
So thank you, DJ Dan Dan, for your insights on things and letting DJs know that it's not only entertainment. This is a business too. You're out there to make some money and not it's scraps.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta make and for me personally, I love to have food with my meals.
Yeah, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
Oh goodness.
Oh man, so thank you, DJ Dan Dan, and we'll talk to you soon. And
Okay.
look forward to your Soulful House Nation.
Yeah, check us out. Check us out Mondays. Mondays from 1 to 3. From 1 to 2, we have updates and interviews. This week we have DJ Amir. If you're into Soulful House, he's a young guy like me, and he's making. Why are you smiling? You're a very, very happy guy. That's why you're smiling. I know.
I know the age. That's why.
Yeah, he's big. He's played festivals, big time. I have him coming on. Also, you can go back to and check out our interview we just did with First Choice. I know some of you,
That was a very good interview. So everybody go check
they
it
are, things of that nature. So yeah, so check us out.
out. Yeah.
And then replay.
Roger that. So thank you much, bro.
All right, thanks for having me again.
Talking to you soon.
All right, get ready.
Get ready.
It's DJ Dan there from Soulful House Nation. And I just want to thank DJ Harry Jameson, DJ Interview, for having me on.
Harry the Big Dog.
Harry Big Dog Jameson.
That's it.
All right. Get ready.
All right, sir. I will talk with you soon.
Okay, good enough then. All right. Take care.
So once again, we are wrapping up this week, this interview with DJ Dan. What a great one. We will be back next Tuesday, 8-ish. As always, we will be back. This is Harry the Big Dog with DJ Interview, and we'll see you soon.